say live from the mighty Veedverks airship. I'm Travis Lippert, CEO of Verks Unlimited Limited, better known as Veedverks.
And I'm Julie Richardson, Director of Promotions. And I messed it up.
Well, we're playing Adrian. We're playing Dub Conscious right now. Adrian Zelski, HGH Seeds, fantastic musician. Yeah. I love it. And we haven't been sued yet, so I'm gonna keep playing Dub Conscious. Check them out. But we are here with
Bubba.
Bubba Zerobnick.
Hi, everybody. Is Dub Conscious Adrian's band?
Yeah, dude.
I didn't know that. I've known Adrian forever, and I love Dub Conscious. I never knew that it was his band.
Check it out. So we're going to, today, among other things, we're going to talk about what we intend to do with this little airship that we've had going on for over a year now. There are lots of people who want to pick it up and broadcast it in different places. So we're going to increase the production value of it tremendously.
Well, I'm one of those people, and I contacted you and said I wanted to come aboard and ask permission. And so here I am sitting on the airship today, and I'm pretty much ready to help you broadcast and take this and make it grow. So I'm very excited about that. Coming from a broadcasting background, that definitely is something I look forward to, is making your organization grow.
I like that. I'm messing around. I'm trying to pull up on the on this right monitor. I want to pull up. Man, it's been nothing but I bet I've rebooted this computer so many times today. It's ridiculous. But we're getting it worked out. It was a big deal to tear all this down and take it to NOCO.
Absolutely.
We still haven't truly recovered from it. My theory is that it'll get better, like tearing it apart. It's like moving. You throw away a bunch of shit. So I was trying to show you that Adrian Zelski is like the guy who's singing right now for Dub Conscious, like in this song. I'm pretty sure that's the truth. So if you pull up images of Dub Conscious.
Well, Adrian's always been all about music. That's how we know each other, so...
Well, I love it. I think it's great. There, check it out. Boom. Isn't that crazy?
Nice.
I'm going to pull this down and then show people, and then we'll get going. But this is a big part of like what we have to get better next, or that, you know, as we move forward, as we
Absolutely.
need, like all these little technical things that we're going to do. What's up, LS Love? Thanks for joining. Rolf, Gerald.
Yeah. Hello.
Gerald saying hi from New Orleans. Angie, thanks for joining.
Nice.
So I just ganked that image of Dub Conscious.
By Angie Valdez, Rolling Hope.
Yes.
Rolling Hope.
We support Rolling Hope Foundation here.
Tell us about Rolling Hope Foundation.
You know, Angie would be much better to speak about it, but it's a 501c3 charity that she started about 2 years ago, I believe. And she does a lot of good work in the local community, providing school supplies for children, food for people that don't have food to support their families. Really good charity worker, and Angie's just the nicest gal in the world. So definitely support her, and I support her straight through myself and through Plant the Cure, and any organization that I have a part of will definitely support the Rolling Hope Foundation for sure.
Didn't she do that in memory of her mother that passed?
Absolutely. Yeah, her mother passed away, and she's doing the Rolling Hope in her mother's memory, and it does a lot of good work.
Mm-hmm.
Adrian Zelski, right?
Yeah.
Totally. Same guy.
Yeah,
cool.
No, that's definitely Adrian. There's
Super
no question.
talented.
I just didn't know he was the lead singer.
And so you're a Dub Conscious fan. And
I
you
do.
didn't
I
even
like
know
Dub
that.
Conscious. I love their music. You know, that's part of the thing about being an old guy, is that you don't know a lot of the musicians and some of this music that you hear. I was just talking to someone the other day. I've been listening to a lot of the Pandora radio, and I like to listen to the, what do they call it? The jam band station.
Yeah.
And so I listen and I hear the Dead and Widespread Panic and all the bands that I've heard for years, but there's a band on there called Mo. And Moe's an older band, and they've been around for a while, but I didn't know who they were. And man, I really like their music and can't wait to see them when they come in concert this summer. So,
well, cool.
You know, that you try to learn something new every day. And I used to own a music store, and that was one of the things that I did. Is at the music store, I would open up 3 albums that I had never heard every day and listen to them. So I would, you know, expand my horizons on the music. So these Pandora stations and things like that, and the iHeartRadio, and there's another one that's got the green emblem. I can't think of what it's called, but Spotify.
Yeah.
Spotify, because Spotify, when you use that or someone uses it that you follow, that you happen to, you know, like their taste and things, when they play something on Spotify, it'll notify you, hey, this guy's listening to this, you know, so you can go listen to things that you haven't necessarily been exposed to. And for me, when it was working in the dispensary, you know, letting the young people choose the music every day, you know, I got exposed to some stuff that most likely I'm not playing it back at my house, but at least I know what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so.
Skrillex.
Just Skrillex wasn't bad.
I like Skrillex.
Yeah.
I saw that Skrillex prevents mosquitoes from breeding, but I saw it on April 1st, and I'm not sure if it's true or not, because I could totally see that. I could totally see that.
The sound frequency makes the mosquitoes to repel from each other.
Oh, I got irritated on April Fool's. I just shut it down. I'm not reading anything.
Yeah. I kept getting fooled.
I got fooled a couple times before I realized what day it was, for sure. I saw some good blues the other night, though.
Come on, where?
Huh?
Where?
Paramount Theater.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Buddy Guy and Jimmy Vaughn.
Well, no wonder.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the men.
Yeah, Buddy Guy. I had never seen Buddy Guy in Denver before. He's played here several times, but I had never seen him in Denver. Seen him in Chicago at his own place a few times.
I can't believe he's still touring.
Yeah, and it was good. A couple of my friends from college put out, you know how the check-ins? So my wife checked us in, and then the next morning I saw one of them had checked in, and he put out a comment underneath his thing, in the front row. So I said I said, post some photos, because me and the wife weren't so lucky. We were a little bit further back than that. So... thank you, Sherry. I appreciate you taking me to see the blues. I know it's not your favorite thing, but you're a great wife. So.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I really liked all his work he did with Stevie Ray Vaughan, too.
Love it.
Yeah. I can't drive across Texas without Stevie.
No?
Yeah. Got to get the house is a rocket.
Well, in 1985, when I was the intern and the assistant producer at Red Rocks, I got to spend a day that I will never forget touring Stevie Ray Vaughan around Red Rocks in the Denver area, and we went for a mountain bike ride together.
Nice.
Yeah, one of the most memorable experiences that I've ever had.
I guess so.
There's actually a picture of the two of us at the top of Red Rocks before they built the stage and everything. When we used to produce shows at Red Rocks, we used to have to build the stage and the covering every day. And there was no permanent thing, and the orchestra pit was still open and things like that. But there's a picture of us, and I'm in the bicycle shorts with the helmet on and, you know, all the proper stuff. There he is standing next to his mountain bike. He's got the leather patch, the vest, the blue shirt, the necklace, the hat, the whole deal.
And that's what he's riding around in.
That's what he rode around in. That's what he had. So that's what he rode around in.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and for the life of me, that picture was taken, and we cannot find it anywhere. It's the one possession thing that I've looked for and just can't find the picture, but the memory's instilled forever. I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome. That was one of the coolest things that ever happened to me at Red Rocks, and I've had a lot of cool things happen to me over the years at Red Rocks. So, yeah.
So how are we going to up our game on this airship? Because I've got a cough, right? And I wish I had
a cough button.
But if you were talking and I was coughing.
So what's going to happen is, with the engineering, what you're doing now is you're engineering the show from behind the screen and in front of the camera. So everything that goes on is being seen by the viewership. So we're going to change it up a little bit, and the engineering is going to take place off of the screen. You know, we're going to be able to communicate through the screens, through the computers and things like that. But, you know, we're going to be hitting things like 15-minute segments, breaks. We're going to be introducing things like commercials, and not necessarily commercials for the purpose of revenue at the beginning, but for a purpose of introducing you to products where we can, you know, pre-do a spread about something that we're talking about, and then boom, bring in that video and feed it in. Also gives you time to go off the screen, cough, you know, get a drink of water and come back without being seen, because we've got something else that's filling in for the content. You know, our listeners, our watchers, they're all looking for the content. So what we want to do is have an uninterrupted flow of that traffic to them.
So we're at like 10 minutes in right now, and this would be a good time to like do something regular every 10 minutes. Like say, everybody who I haven't thanked yet, but Larry Reed's joined.
Absolutely.
Man on Weed.
Larry Reed, Man on Weed. He's going to be broadcasting with us here pretty quickly, I would imagine. Right, Larry?
I hope so.
Give
Is
us
Larry
a thumbs
from
up.
here?
I believe Larry's from back east. He took over.
I
used to run a thing called Cannabis Network Radio. And there was an unmentionable guy that owned that turned out to be a fraud that caused a lot of people in Colorado a lot of hassles. But Larry got hooked up with him after this, unbeknownst to him, that he had all these problems in Colorado. And Larry Reed came out to broadcast in Colorado, and guess who he got introduced to first? Me. And he pulled out his card and handed me his card that said Larry Reed, Director of Broadcast Operations, Cannabis Network Radio. I said, hold that thought. And I pulled out my cell phone and I scrolled through some photos, and I pulled out my business card that said Director of Operations, Cannabis Network Radio. Here you go. You know, I was like, I've been through this once already. Let me save you some time, buddy. So he didn't really, you know, at first, and I tried to be very respectful and everything. I was like, you know, go check it out. Go check me out. Check out what I'm telling you. Make sure that it's true, and then get back with me. And he did. And Larry's a really nice guy. I think he's an excellent broadcaster. I think he's got a lot to say about cannabis and hemp. And yeah, I'd like to bring him into the fold of what we're doing. You know, I'd also like him to bring the 400,000 followers of Cannabis Network Radio with him, because we worked really hard to build that thing up for that fraud guy. Yeah. So, oh yeah, absolutely. Nothing bad to say. I mean, these are all learning experiences, but you learn about the people that you work with and the quality of the people that you work with. And I worked for somebody that didn't have a whole lot of quality backing them up, and we did a really good job of building his network for him. You know, so yeah, I'd love to see some of those listeners benefit from listening to the Veedverks network, without a doubt.
Veedverks Network.
Yeah, Veedverks
Sounds
Network.
good.
I mean, we could call it whatever
like
we
that.
want to. It should be, you know, I mean, we own different names and trade names that have to do with cannabis broadcasting.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't matter what you call it. It doesn't matter if you call it Andrew's, you know, Purple Haze Radio, or Adam Dunn's Adam Dunn Show.
Yeah.
You know, we're all advertising and we're all broadcasting about the same subject matter. So the way that we become a real network is to integrate with each other. Why should we aggregate somebody else's broadcasting when we've got enough broadcasters within the space? And if we all work together, we are a network, and we're a really powerful network.
We need more computers.
Yeah, we do.
I think computers are good as long as you know how to use them. You know, keep the old guys like me away from them. I push the wrong button and you lose the whole feed. You know?
I just need to be able to do an Excel spreadsheet while somebody else is broadcasting.
I think we'll be able to do that.
We need to do that.
You know, one of the things that we were talking about earlier is coming up with, you know, who the speakers are and who we want to bring on to the radio or onto the YouTube channel and things like that. And, you know, credibility, education, you know, speaking the word, and the people that talk the talk need to be the same people that walk the walk, because there's a lot of people talking the talk that don't necessarily, you know, represent what they say they do when they're on the radio, when they're on the air. So getting people that are honest, I think that's a really good thing. And you guys, when I've been watching for the past several months, I've noticed that you have quality people as your guests. You know, many people I've worked with and many people whose organizations I'm one of the founding members of. You know, so I enjoy that. When you had Larissa on here yesterday, you know.
Oh, that was a great show.
Right. So I think about
the Tuesday show with Larissa Bolivar from Boulevard Hemp Company was great.
It was from Boulevard Hemp Company. That's her personal brand, but she also started the Cannabis Consumers Coalition, which is a huge thing. If you use cannabis products, I don't care if they're hemp or THC, the Cannabis Consumers Coalition is there for you. And it's to tell you safe products, good products, rating of products, let you report somebody who gave you something that made you sick. There's a lot of uses for a consumers coalition, and what Larissa started, and it started in Colorado and everything. She's now moved the main offices to Washington, D.C. because she's got a full-time person to run that coalition out there. It's going to, in the future, be a really powerful organization. And all these things that started at a grassroots kind of level, through this broadcasting, and this is Larissa broadcast on that same station that I ran. Larissa, David Madalena, pretty much all the people. Bob Ashino would come in and do shows. Citizen Jay Daly worked on that, We brought on the guy that made the first purchase ever of cannabis, Sean Azariti, came on and did shows, and he did those shows with Nicole West. So many people got their broadcasting starts, and now they're out doing speaking engagements all over the world. But it came down to that little grassroots radio station that we weren't going to ask permission. We're going to start broadcasting about cannabis, and if we get in trouble for that, then we'll ask for forgiveness. But we never asked for permission. We just started going for it. And that's kind of the way that the whole grassroots part of it came in. And just mention the word grassroots. Ruga Connolly, when he had the grassroots break room, he was the place where every one of us did our live remote broadcasts from. So there's a huge community that now turned into an industry, but the people that made up that community, they're still around. They still have voices. They still have something to say. So we've got a lot of things that we're going to do with this network, and it's going to be fun. And I think that's part of the big thing is when I watch you guys, when I'm sitting at home, in my basement, and I'm watching you guys do your live broadcasts, I see a lot of smiling going on.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's really important. If you feel comfortable about it and you're enjoying what you do, man, the people on the other end, they're going to enjoy that so much.
Right.
Well,
when I look for guests, I don't look at the business as much as I look for the passion of that person.
Absolutely.
Because that's not, we have people that come on that have great CBD products, we don't really think of them as competition because they're on and they're telling us their cannabis. We don't,
Nobody's
it's
got
not
any
like
competition. The market is so much bigger than
any of us can provide for at this point in time. Even if you scale up 1,000 times. And David Madalena and I used to talk about this a lot with the Hemp Connoisseur magazine, and when he was going through the rebranding and things like that, and we talked about it. The hemp side of things, it's 1,000 times as large as the THC component of the plant, and there's that many more people involved in it. So it becomes 1,000 times more important to use the proper language, because he who controls the language wins the war, plain and simply. That's why I push against that word marijuana so hard all the time, is because if we continue to use that, great, businesses are going to grow and everything like that, but we're going to lose the war. We're never going to win this battle. We're never going to have true legalization of the cannabis plant.
Yeah. And that starts with, our news. I've written several letters and talked with some different reporters at Denver 7.
Right.
Quit calling it weed. It's just.
I don't mind the term weed.
I don't mind the term weed, and I don't mind the term marijuana. Where I mind the term marijuana is in my legislation and my legal things and the police.
Yes.
Things
if you're
like
writing
that.
a law about cannabis.
Yeah, it should be cannabis.
Call it cannabis.
Yeah, it shouldn't be
Don't
called
call
marijuana.
it marijuana.
And
That's what I'm saying. It's the new blackface.
Right.
It is. And, it's really sad that the segment of the industry that's going to be 1,000 times bigger than the demonized side of the THC, is participating in that demonization. It really bothers me that I'm at the biggest hemp expo in the world this past weekend, and that friends that I've stood next to and been on the activist side of things with for 40 years are some of the same people that are calling the THC side of the plant marijuana now. That really bothers me, because these are my peers, and they justify it by saying, well, we've got to get it, through to the public in some way where they'll accept it. So calling it CBD or calling it hemp, and that's more acceptable to the public, the education part would be to let them know that that's still the same plant that THC comes from, rather than saying, oh no, our plant's the cousin, or it's a different,
that bothers me.
But you heard that a lot, I know, because you guys broadcast there. So I know you heard that going around there.
Their broadcasting. I didn't hear anybody.
I heard that around the room a lot, to the point where
there's a lot of companies there this year that never existed. Like, this is the first year that they've been to anything.
Right.
And they may not understand yet. Either.
Well, and that's the whole thing. If you're going to do something and you're going to make money off of a product, don't you think you should know the truth about where that product comes from?
I do.
I mean, I don't want to sound like an ass, because I totally support the hemp industry.
Yeah.
I always have. I totally support what they call the medical marijuana industry, and that's where I'm going to get off to you about this. The reason why it's in there is because when California, which was the first ones to have medical marijuana, did Prop 215, in order to make that legal and passable and enactable in the state where they were, they had to use the DEA's term. The DEA didn't use the term cannabis in the Controlled Substances Act. They used marijuana, and they used with the one H. With the H, the bad one, like you said. So that's what I'm saying. We need to control the language. I have no problem with a store called the Marijuana Shop. I have no problem with someone out in the public calling it marijuana. I do have a problem with my politicians and lawmakers calling it marijuana.
Right.
Let's make it right. Let's make it cannabis sativa L. Let's put it in there and get it in the Controlled Substances Act the same way. And while we're in there, let's get the glassblowers products out of the Controlled Substances Act. That's one of the big things that people that attend all of these trade shows and things don't realize, is that the glassblowers products, they're still illegal. It's still illegal to make a bong. Oh, absolutely. It's right in the Controlled Substances Act. So when we make these changes and we make things legal, let's think about what legality really is, because what we have right now in America with regard to hemp, cannabis, THC is the most heavily regulated and scientifically controlled prohibition in the history of our world. We really don't have legalization, because if we did, I could grow my 6 plants out in my yard, and if I wanted to hand you some, I could do that. And I didn't need to get a license in order to do that. A license is something that you pay for to give you the right to do something illegal. So if you have to have a license in order to just grow the plant, then we don't have real legalization. And I'm not talking about business licensing and buying into...
You don't have to have a license for 6 plants, do you?
No.
Okay, good.
No, you don't have to. But if you grow those 6 plants as a medical thing, yes, you do. You have to have what's known as a red card. If we had real legalization of cannabis, I wouldn't need that to grow my own medicine. That's why we made Amendment 20 in Colorado, was to give us the right to control our own medicine and use cannabis as that medicine. That's the whole purpose of that law. So now we're so far away from that we're not protecting our right to cultivate that plant ourselves as a legal right. Now we have to get a license and buy into a system. And, the industry is there to sell products. So the industry, not all of it is favorable towards the individual consumer that wants to grow their own medicine, because they'd much rather have them have to come to their shop and buy that medicine. And I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's just the reality of the world that we live in. I'm not talking down an industry that I want to be a part of. I'm just saying this is the reality. There are people out there that the bottom line is so important to them that they want to force people not to be able to have their freedom and do their own thing.
Yeah.
Well, they need to look at it like tomatoes. Sure, than, tomatoes that are sent at the grocery store. They are inspected.
Absolutely.
That if they're GMO or not.
But you guys,
I can grow as many tomatoes as I want to, and I can sell tomatoes if I grow them, and that's the way it needs to be.
You can sell tomatoes if you grow them from your roadside stand or from your house or something like that. But you don't want to, take those tomatoes and start going to farmers markets and selling them to restaurants and things like that, because then you're violating the FDA laws of, introducing privately growing crops into the public.
Well, what's at the farmers markets anyway? Isn't that small farmers?
Those guys all pay those licensing fees to make sure that the FDA approves them being there. That's the whole thing. And there's nothing bad about that. I mean, industry, when you take cannabis and you want to put it in gummy bears, and you want to sell those to the public, you should have to follow the food laws. And you should have to have a license and go with food inspections and things like that. And those aren't things that I'm talking about when I talk about legalization, because those should be just inbred. You should just know that. If you want to do business, you got to be properly licensed. But if you're just John Q. Public and you want to grow the 6 plants that are guaranteed to you by the state constitution, and you want to give that to your next door neighbor, who might have cancer or might not have cancer, it doesn't really matter, you should be allowed to do that. And that's where we're going a little bit over the edge in trying to repress those rights. Those things don't have to be repressed for these businesses to be successful, because most people that have the right to grow cannabis, they're not going to do it anyway, because it's hard work. It really is hard work to get a good crop that does what you need it to do. And that's why the setup in the medical system was that you have a provider, you have either a dispensary that you buy from or that you give your plant count to. That's in case you fail, because you never gave away the right to grow your own. You just have a backup in case you fail. I can go buy my medicine and get the actual medicine that I need. Right. So that was the intent of the way that things were set up. With the hemp things, man, I've seen so many good hemp products over the past couple of months. There's just some really cool stuff that's coming out there. Oh, yeah. And now that the Farm Bill has passed and people are not having to try to call it a supplement and things like that, and actually it's now a food ingredient, I saw some really cool protein powders, some really cool hemp parts. I mean, lots of really nice products out there. Oh, yeah. And my favorite cocoa was out there, and they were infused this time. My wife's been buying this organic, what do they call it? Non-trade, trade-free, nobody suffers, and all that kind of stuff. So she's been buying this, fair trade. So she's been buying this cocoa for 5 or 6 years now. There they were. They've got it infused. I was like, I drink this every night, whether it's infused or not. I love this stuff.
Nice.
So really awesome, because it's a really good organic product. Still has sugar in it, but it's coconut sugar. So I'm really trying hard to stay off the white sugars. It's a tough thing for me.
It's lower on the glycemic index. So it should be a lot better for you.
It's a lot better for you. Trying to get off of the white sugars and the white flours, and for a Bubba, that's a difficult thing. I mean, my favorite things are Ben & Jerry's, white bread cheeseburgers, stuff like that. Yeah. So it's really hard to get off of all of the sugars and stuff like that. And the hardest one for me, soda pop.
Really?
Oh my God, I have a hard time with that.
I had a hard time getting off of that.
So I got off of it, and I didn't drink it for like 8 months. Go out for pizza, think, I could have just one soda, no problem, boom, right back on it, just stuck again, so that's my difficulty. I never smoked cigarettes, so I don't have that problem, never drank a lot of coffee, love the smell of it, but never drank a lot. So the caffeine part of that, but the caffeine and sugar and that formula that they make for the soda pop, those guys have good engineers,
they don't make it easy to quit. Make it more sessionable. You enjoy it more.
Right. And I'm one of those ones, boy, I enjoy the heck out of it. Yeah, it hits my brain sensors and, sets off my nervous system. And that's when I have not been successful at stopping, and since I quit working at the dispensary, it's been 16 months. I've lost probably 42 pounds, 4 pant sizes and things like that. Wow. And I still can't get rid of that darn sugar. So You know, the inventors of white bleach sugar, you guys are good. M&M Mars and all the candy bars and the ice creams and, you know, ding dongs. Yeah, that's Bubba food.
Yeah.
So, you know, trying to get off of all of them. And I've been doing really well with, you know, the green smoothies, drinking celery juice, eating hemp hearts, you know. And when I first started eating hemp, didn't really taste great to me. You know, now I've been using it enough. Now I know how to incorporate it as an ingredient into what I'm eating, and I really like it. You know, and the protein that I'm getting from it's really good.
So you don't like the little shelled hemp hearts?
I do, but I have to
love
add
those
salt to
things.
them. I gotta have a little bit more flavor from it, so I put just a little bit of salt in them, or buy the ones that are the salt and pepper flavored ones and
Right.
stuff like that. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
Well, and you can't really, you know, I tried, you know, cooking and they're so delicate that you can't put it in a really hot oven or
No, it's
they'll-
better to put on afterwards
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
glaze or whatever you're using it for, a topping.
But it's
Love them in my salads and stuff like that. You know, yeah, the hemp hearts are good.
They're energy boosters for me. I mean, because it's almost a complete food.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
and you take a spoonful, put it in your smoothies. You can make hemp milk out of it, and it's just wonderful.
See,
and
and
creamy.
I'm one of those, my wife with the vegan cooking and the organic cooking, when she calls stuff like nut cheese, where she calls nut milk. You know, she's like, oh, this is nut milk. I was like, no, that's nut juice. Milk comes from a cow. You know, so that's just one of my peeves. And you know, she's such a good cook and does the raw. My wife is actually a certified raw vegan chef, so she can take it right down to the 105 degrees and nothing ever goes above, and the whole thing. And if I would just eat the food that she could make, man, I'd be the healthiest Bubba ever, you know? So that's where the little American consumer comes in me, you know? I grew up and, you know, the TV dinners and things like that were invented when I was growing up. So, you know, we used to eat the Swanson TV dinner and watch The Wonderful World of Disney on Sunday nights, you know? It's just kind of the way, so it's really hard to get rid of those kind of habits. It's just kind of the way I was growing up.
Why hasn't Celestial Seasonings gotten into Celestial
Seasonings, yeah,
Seasonings,
biggest
the
tea
teas.
maker in Colorado.
And they're in Boulder.
Yeah, they're from Boulder.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
But why aren't
They're
they
the
doing a
ones
hemp
that-
tea yet?
That I don't know, but maybe we should get a hold of an officer
Surely
up at
it's
Celestial.
occurred to 'em. They
Well, we
couldn't
should
live
probably talk to Celestial Seasonings about that and see when they're going to enter that game, and that would be subject for another great show, you know, on the Veedverks network. I mean, we got to start bringing those guys in
Let's get them in before they're in the industry and talk to them,
about getting into
convince
the
them
industry.
to get into the industry.
You know, it's like if you take a look at history of cannabis and hemp, you know, 8 years ago, Sanjay Gupta wasn't on our side either.
Right.
You know, that took hundreds of emails from thousands of people and continuous bombardment. And, you know, finally he realized and looked at all the anecdotal information that got sent to him and, you know, turned around and made one of the most persuasive videos ever
2 of them.
for the use. Yeah. Well, the first one was what I'm talking about. He's followed up with that. But, you know, that's completely changed. That's 180 degrees from where his position was 10 years ago.
And I encourage people. I mean, that's what I used to talk to my kids about cannabis. And I put it on. That's what we watched. We talked about it. And they were like, well, we knew this already, Mom.
Yep.
You know, they knew.
I didn't know it till I saw that TV show.
You know, I mean,
I
my whole life I've been a cannabis user. I was never a big drinker or anything like that. But, you know, I never realized that I was using it medicinally when we thought we were out getting high when we were in high school.
Yeah.
But we were, you know. Every single use of cannabis, every time you do it, is medicinal. It's doing something to your endocannabinoid system, you know, and it's maintaining stasis within your body. And that's what people don't understand when they take the different constituents of the plant apart from each other, that the purpose of the cannabis plant and the endocannabinoid system is to regulate and maintain stasis within your body. So if you feed your body the entire plant, every one of the cannabinoids, flavonoids, and terpenoids that you can get out of that plant, your endocannabinoid system's way smarter than we are. It'll figure out what it needs, and it'll get rid of the rest. You know, so that's why there's always that advocacy for whole plant medicines, I think, and that's something that I myself will probably never get away from. Whether some drug company synthesizes something from one constituent of the cannabis plant and, heals millions of people, I'll say great and applaud that, but I'll still be one that backs, full plant medicine and letting your body figure out what it needs.
Right. And we don't know. My grandmother studied herbals. And so, there's tiny little amounts of things that we don't even realize exist.
Absolutely.
That helps it work and then helps your body use completely.
Yeah, they call that symbiosis.
Yeah, symbiosis.
The way things interact with each other.
And when you take, something out and it doesn't have that, then it's not going to work the way, I don't know if this was true or not because I saw it on April Fool's, but the pharmaceutical version of what is it? The FICO version that the pharmaceuticals are making that you can get now.
Oh yeah, okay.
All right. So there's supposedly people are having horrible reactions to that. Well, of course they are.
Well, yeah, because it's synthetic.
Because they don't have it all,
Well, yeah, and there's no reason to do that. I mean, that's a lot about what the restorative farming movement and things like that are all about is, being stewards of the soil, being stewards of the plant. So rather than people sometimes refer to old guys like me as OGs, right? So when someone calls me an OG, I kind of look at it and go, well, I kind of look at Adam Dunn as an OG. I kind of look at Rick Cusick as an OG. I don't really consider myself an OG, but I'll take that as a compliment because they're telling me that I'm a steward of the plant. And that's something that I'll take that. And if people hate me for, saying, hey, this is cannabis, it's never been marijuana, it never will be, there's no such thing as marijuana, I can live with that because I'm being a steward for the plant that I believe is a royal plant, and let's call it by its proper name. If it's a royal plant, let's respect it. So, especially if we're going to make money off it and make all of these products that are all over the world, let's respect the plant enough to call it by its real name. And give the plant the respect that it's due, even if you don't respect Bubba for saying that.
Well, that's kind of touching back on how I feel about them calling it weed on TV. If they're talking about, giving their children weed, don't say it like that.
Yeah, don't say it like that.
That's what I meant.
See, and that one doesn't even get me.
me.
You give your children weed all day long, but don't give them dope. It's the way you use certain things that bother me, and dope's a great name for a magazine and things like that, but man, using cannabis doesn't dope you down, doesn't make you dumb. You're not unintelligent. And a lot of times that's what gets associated with THC. Unmotivated, lazy, fat, eats junk food all day long. Where I go out and I look at the world and I see the people that are very successful in the cannabis business, healthy, great athletes, really creative, not sitting on the couch. Can't ever catch them at home being lazy. That's what you see. That's the reality of it. So when we're talking about perception and teaching people and educating people, that's the stance I'd like to come from. And I'm not going to ever apologize for my cannabis use because I don't think it's done any of those things to me. I see people that use cannabis that are some of the most creative people in the entire world, plain and simple.
Well, that's why it's so important to be at, not only at the Denver capital, but whatever state you're in, be involved in it, set that example. And, we need to get away from the stereotype that,
Absolutely.
And we do this by showing our faces and, going up there and testifying that we hold down a job and we give our time to charities and that sort of thing.
That's right. And then when the convention or the business meeting is over, half the people are going to go to the bar and have an alcohol drink. Some of us are going to go smoke a joint together in the park. It's just, that's just your own lifestyle. And to me, talking badly about someone's lifestyle doesn't make anybody more respectful of my plant. I don't want to talk badly about the guy that has a beer after work because frankly, I don't care. You know, I don't care if you're gay or lesbian and want to open a business. I don't care. I don't care if you're a person of color and want to grow hemp. I want to help you do that.
No, me too.
You know, we have to be, we always talk about being an inclusive industry, and the more events that I see, the more exclusive it gets. So we need to be that network that's inclusive, that brings the listener in, that listens to what they have to say, you know, and that educates them in the way that they want to be educated. I don't think anybody wants to be educated by fear. And that's all that demonization does, is create fear.
Well, that's what it has done.
It has.
You know?
And, well, you know, we're a couple generations now into this. I mean, we're 20 years into legal cannabis in Colorado. You know, it's 2019, and we literally put that law to be voted on in the books in 1999. Excuse me. So we're literally 2 decades into legal cannabis in this state. So it's just time to, you know, get past the whole demonization and things like that. And what we fail to realize as the 60% of the people that approve of this is that the 40% of people that don't approve of it, they're very hard against that. They're not easy to sway. Because we've had 20 years of positive results doesn't make them any more likely to change their opinion in the next, you know, month or year or something like that. So you just got to keep harping on it, you know, and be right and be truthful and, you know, be very transparent, I guess, is the easiest way. We're not trying to hide anything here. You know, we're just trying to educate people about better ways of growing things, better ways of taking care of themselves, products that were not available to them to take care of themselves, you know, 20 years ago, that now here they are, and you can buy it at the grocery store.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. You know, a lot of people think that I'm anti-CBD, and I'm not at all. You know, I participated in the very first CBD projects with Dr. Shackelford and the CBD group and all of those guys. So definitely not anti-CBD. Think that CBD is just one constituent of this huge hemp plant that, you know, when we start thinking about fibers, lignans, sugars, and all the other things that we can do other than the oil extraction, then we have a hemp industry. And until then, we really don't.
Mazes.
Yeah.
Hemp mazes.
Yeah, hemp, just don't do them in Kansas.
Not in Kansas.
I caught that, Joe.
Gonna revolutionize the corn maze industry.
Well, and that's another thing that, you know, the network is responsible for, is we're sitting here laughing and we're educating at the same time. But, you know, Veedverks is entertainment. So if you're not entertained by what we're doing here, you're not likely to tune back into what we're doing here. So a lot of entertainment is going to be coming down the pipe. You know, and there's a lot of different things that are entertaining. I mean, it'd be really easy to get Adrian and his guitar sitting in that on that chair where Julie is, you know, right on the.
He's on my short. How many times?
He's on that short list.
Last Sunday, I wrote a list of people to get on the show, and Adrian was.
Well, we'll just tell him.
And so was Larissa. And it turned out that
come
Michael,
broadcaster, we're sending Bubba out to find you, so he will bring you. You know.
I just want to be able to play his music because it's awesome.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I learned that about there's a band called Thievery Corporation, and it's really funny because their drummer is a guy that I've been working with in air shows for years and never put the two together, but he came into town a week ago to play at Cervantes, and I saw his name as being one of the people. I was like, never even realized that was the same person.
Yeah.
You know? So it's very funny.
Yeah.
Jeff Frank, howdy, by the way. Yeah, so.
Larry, what time you going on? What time's Larry going live tonight? We'll put that out. I saw that earlier up in the comments. Larry Reed is going to go live tonight, man, on Weed. Quentin, thanks for tuning in.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, all those posts on the
Staunchy.
Facebook, Mr. Reed, are those you or the Big K? I kind of have that question because if it's not you, then the Big K is definitely watching what we're doing. So
I don't know who the Big K is.
you don't need to. There's certain names that just don't need to be mentioned in this world, and that's one of them. So that's the one I told you was the fraud guy that we all worked for that ruined everything for us. He is the one that started Cannabis Network Radio, and everybody that needs to know already knows that name, so we're all good with that. But yeah, Larry, let us know when you're broadcasting so we can put it out.
Man, on
Is that
me.
Adam Akadocious that I see on there?
I don't know where you
The
see
one right above Cannabis Network Radio. Nope, it's not.
that. Yeah, that's staunch.
There's a broadcaster, cannabis broadcaster.
Michael Miller.
Hi, Michael. There's a cannabis broadcaster out of California. He goes by the name of Adam Ill. He's the one that started the Secret Sessions. You know about those? Him and another gentleman out in California started the Secret Sessions, where since we don't have any legal places where we can smoke and things like that, and there's literally hundreds of people that want to show their products off and stuff like that, they started booking buildings and doing secret sessions that weren't advertised to the public. You know, you had to be in the know to be able to get the invitation, and you show up and, you know, they were just full-on sessions with, you know, total marketing, total fun, total entertainment, you know, glass blowing, live glass blowing, the whole deal. Just great parties. And now that they have legalization in California, I believe that the Secret Sesh is having their first public one legal in California at the beginning of June. It's a whole city, and I'm not going to get the name right, Antecito or something like that. Someone who knows, please type it in so that we know what the real deal is. But yeah, that's the Secret Sesh guys, and they're very interesting, and they've really promoted the recreational use of cannabis. And now, believe it or not, you guys aren't going to believe this when I tell you, but in the United States, there is more smokable hemp being sold than there is smokable THC flower. And it's selling for higher dollars.
What?
Well, think about it. We've only got so many states where we're legal for the THC containing products. CBD is legal in all 50 states because of the Farm Bill. There are literally dispensaries all over the South, the East, the Midwest. They're selling CBD flower out the door, and it's going for more than THC flower in the same exact locations. So
Godspeed, you guys.
yeah, I'm telling you. So
That's funny.
I have some very, very good friends that I support what they do a lot, and they have a hemp farm down in southwestern Colorado, and they started doing T-shirts a couple months ago that said that weed should taste good.
Yeah.
So
I've
they've
seen
got
the shirts around
weed
everywhere.
should taste good. So we've also got the hemp should taste good. But the one that I just think is hilarious, and if anybody steals this from us and puts it out there before we get a chance to, I'm mad. But anyway, so we came up with CBD is diet weed.
CBD is diet weed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody says, oh, non-psychoactive, right? But when you ask them,
I don't say that.
Well,
I
so
say
this-
non-inebriating.
the non-intoxicating would
Yeah.
be a great way of doing this, but the big buzzwords were non-psychoactive.
Yeah.
So I would ask people, and I'd be going around at the hemp expo and say, so, you know, CBD is non-psychoactive. How do you feel? And they go, well, when I take it, it makes me feel calm.
Yeah.
I was like, well, guess what? That's psychoactivity, you know, but it is non-inebriating. So if we can kind of non-intoxicating,
The one that
non-inebriating.
doesn't get you high.
Well, so we did that.
that's what
We
they
did that in an entire, they had the big Champ show out in Vegas, you know, and I mean, Champ show used to be glass and products and blah, blah, blah. There's about 65% CBD products this year. You know, and people kept coming up to me. They're like, Bubba, would you like to know how to open a CBD business? Or can I, you know, interest you in this gummy or this or that? So I finally, you know, started saying, I'm only interested in the CBDs that get you high. You know, it got me through that floor a lot quicker, you know, but yeah, I just think it's amazing at how much CBD has taken over an entire marketplace. And I think it's great, and I love that people are using it and it's providing benefit to their lives and things like that. But man, as an old-time activist, advocate, you know, THC user and things like that, it's snake oil. You know, please do not advertise that as the panacea, the cure-all, the be-all, end-all, because it's not. You know, and even cannabis as a medicine, we can't do that either. Even with the whole plant derivative of that medicine, we can't be making claims of it doing things that we can't prove. and that's where the whole FDA comes in and everything like that. And you were explaining to me yesterday something that I had no understanding of at all, because I said, well, don't make statements, use testimonials from the people that buy the products from you. And when you told me that the FDA could make you remove testimonials, I was just blown away.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, how the heck are we supposed to do this then? You got to get the truth out there somehow. If every avenue of getting the truth out there is taken away from you, what are you supposed to do? Break the law? That's the whole thing. When do you say, oh no, this is enough? What you're requiring of me to market my products, that's enough. We've stepped through enough hoops now. Now we're just going to do it. And I think when we were talking about it, sorry that we're talking about things that we talked about off the air, but we were talking about the whole CVS pharmacy thing and telling the government to blow it. We're not taking the CBD products off our shelves. When do we start standing up and saying, hey, you guys are regulating us to the point where now you're going to strangle this new industry. So it's going to be very interesting to see. And there's, tell you the truth, I piss a lot of people off because there's this thing that runs in our family called the Zerobnick brutal honesty. And I've been married to a very nice lady for 25 years. And she says, that's all cool that you're honest and everything like that, but can you tone it down a little, and darn it, I just haven't learned how to tone it down. So, as I go off into my old age, instead of being a dirty old man and getting, less filtered and things like that, I'm trying to add a filter so I don't just come on and just, put my opinion out there to the point where I make everybody so mad that they don't hear my message anymore. Because the message is a good one. The message is of unity, is of one plant, is of very effective medicine, lots of opportunity in the industries. They're really positive messages. So I got to learn how to tone that down just a little bit.
I have a problem with that too.
Yeah.
Don't if you don't want my opinion, don't ask me.
Well,
because I'll tell you.
And unfortunately, a lot of people don't necessarily ask me for my opinion, but they get it anyway.
It's there somehow.
Yeah. So
I do practice a lot of diplomacy, and thinking, let's see, how can I say this without destroying them?
Yeah, I actually had executive of a really powerful company when I was running the radio station tell my boss to fire me because of something that I said. And I didn't really have a great deal of respect for that opinion at that time, but that was 5 years ago. And now I look at it with 20/20 hindsight and go, man, you've used social media just atrociously in a couple of different instances. And I have, I've created enemies by my use of social media.
Yeah.
So I have to be a lot more filtered and, stick a lot more to the message. And the message right now is education. That's what's making me mad is the miseducation.
Yeah.
Then I need to correct that in a way of, hey, rather than raising your voice, why don't you just raise your game?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Find another way to get that message across.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
It's difficult though. Sometimes it's really difficult when you're passionate about something to just hold back, or to not say something when you need to say something, but nope, this isn't the right place to do it. That happens to me as I get older and this industries develop more and more, but I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at checking myself at the door.
I got a good education in not speaking my mind in the Air Force, like basic training. My whole 4th class year at the academy, I got pretty decent at just not saying a thing sometimes.
Well, that's why I'm so big on producing the military thank you events and things like that, and doing the Red Fridays and the things that I do is because, I would have been in that same situation that you would have been in. They would have slapped me and kicked me out and emptied my dorm room out and said, Bubba's parents, come get him. He's at the north entrance to the Air Force Academy because we ain't having him here no more.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. It definitely does.
Some people figure out right off the bat, it's in for me.
I went to higher education and got a college degree because the only thing I ever wanted to do in life was be a helicopter pilot.
Yeah.
And when I became a senior in college, I had to go to Fort Carson for my final physical. I was going into OCS, and I was going to the Navy because they were the ones that had all the helicopters at the time. And I went for that final physical, and my eyesight had changed, and I no longer had 20/20 vision. And back then, when I had the opportunity to go to OCS, it was 20/20 vision, non-corrected. Yeah, because they were able to give me contact lenses.
That's how it was
and glasses.
when I went into. They changed it afterwards.
So during that physical, the guy literally told me, he's like, "You just lost $1 million education." And I looked at him and I said, "Doc, how much can I pay you to lie?"
Yeah.
You know, I seriously, I did. That was the only thing I had ever thought about doing my entire life. Here I am, a senior in college, and being told that everything you've ever studied for, now you can't do it. You know, and that's how I got into communications and entertainment, was because that's what I was doing at the college, was running the radio station, you know, running the search and rescue teams, communications part of it and things like that. And in Gunnison, Colorado, you went out and looked for blue hunters quite a bit, you know, so that coordination was a good thing. But I really thought that I was going to be able to take all of that and put that into being a pilot, you know. No pilot for Bubba.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
DOD-MERB. The DOD-MERB physical, DOD, Department of Defense Medical Exam Review Board.
The review board, exactly. Yeah. So, you know, I never knew what I was going to do. And at the same time, then the digital revolution happened. So that's why I opened the first compact disc store in Colorado, was because it just all happened at the same time. Right. While I was running the radio station in college the last year, you know, we stopped getting records from the record company. They sent everything on CD. You know, so I talked to a bunch of people. I talked to my brother, you know, who's a little bit older, you know, and understood business a little bit better than me. I said, hey, you know, I think a CD store is the way to go here. You know, because I was coming out of college and I wanted to go to work in a radio station, but I wanted to work in production. Well, they all wanted me to work in sales, you know. So my answer when I'd go through the interview and I'd want to be in the production department and they'd offer me the sales job is, I think you'd be much better served by letting me improve the product that your sales department is trying to sell, rather than work on selling the inferior product that you have now. You know, and probably piss some people off then too, you know, but literally that was why I opened a CD store, is because they were going to make me do sales anyway. So I was like, why don't I just sell for myself? And you know, I remember when I asked my father to go with me to the bank officer for the loan to open the CD store. My dad's like, CDs, you know, and he's the older guy, doesn't listen to music a whole lot and everything like that. So I think he went with me to the bank so he could have a little laugh when they rejected me. Got a young bank officer, very young bank officer, who came out of the insurance business before he started working for the bank. Went through the whole pro forma, you know, went over it with me. This is the price at the wholesale. This is what I'm going to be selling them out at retail. This is how many I think we're going to sell, you know, all the different parts of the business at the end of the thing, you know. And I remember looking at my dad, right, when he asked me this. He looks at me, he goes, how much money do you need? You know, and I told him.
Your dad said that, or the banker said that?
The banker said that. He read over the whole pro forma, asked me the questions, and he looked at me and he's like, how much money do you need? And I remember my dad's jaw just dropping, you know, because not only did he go with me, but he put his business as the co-signer for my loan on the line.
Oh, that's solid.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I told you about the parents. You know, I'm one of those guys, I can't blame my failures on my parents, because they've supported me in everything I've ever done. You know, and that, I'm sure that scared Dad. You know, now the building and the plumbing shop's on the line, you know, for this crazy new CD store idea, you know, but it worked out really well. So, you know, I had the first CD store and actually closed that down to go to work for a company in town that's still around called Listen Up Incorporated. And Listen Up is the, you know, audiophile equipment store in Colorado. And
where's
now,
it at?
They are at Exposition in Pearl is the main Listen Up store. And they have another commercial division now on Evans near I-25. But, you know, just the best customer service in the entire audio industry. You know, and the man who owns the company, his name is Walt Stinson. And I have a few different mentors in life. And Walt is definitely one of them. A mentor in how to serve a customer and treat people right. There's nobody any better than that. I mean, they sell the same equipment that many other stores sell, but when you buy it from Listen Up, you can be assured that, you know, they're going to take care of it. It's going to work right for you. You have a problem that they're going to take care of you. You know? And when I was being trained by Walt personally, you know, he went over the story about the retail store that I think it's Neiman Marcus, that they have a shoe department and they'll take back things and stuff like that, that they literally took back shoes from a different store for one of their customers just for the customer service aspect. Yeah. So.
Well, customer service is important. You know?
Well, you know, and that's, I mean, when you look at some of these businesses and you look at the different hemp products that are out there, you know, how do you differentiate your hemp product or your CBD from the other guy's CBD? We both make gummies, we both make lotions, we both make these. Customer service is going to be a huge part of that.
Right.
You know, and believability of the marketing statements. You know, I see in the CBD industry a lot of products that say that they're made in the USA, you know, but they don't say that they're made in the USA from hemp grown in the USA, harvested in the USA, and extracted in the USA. So there's a lot of companies out there, and I'm sorry if you're one of them, but you're buying CBD isolates from China. You're bringing it to the United States. You're putting it in a product that you make in the United States, and then you're saying made in USA and putting that out to people out on the market. What you're not realizing is that you're selling poison. You're selling arsenic. You're selling heavy metals. You're selling all kinds of things that the Chinese people that are selling those isolates to you and letting you import them, they don't care if you put them in your body. So, you know, if you are a CBD user, please be careful about how you source the products that you use. And when it says made in America on it, make sure that it says made in America from hemp grown in America and processed in America before it was put into this particular product. And then you'll be safe and Bubba will be happy. I'm serious. That's the thing that scares me the most, is that it's so popular that people want to take it, but they don't even think about any of those other implications. You know, whereas anything else, if you're buying shrimp, you know, a lot of people won't buy farm-raised shrimp. They won't buy things from Indonesia. They won't buy things from Micronesia because they're poison. You know, and that's one thing. I mean, it might not be the best. We're not nearly as good as Europe in terms of the things that we will allow ourselves to eat, but we're trying. We're at least trying to keep you safe, you know. So that's why I don't have a problem with the industry having to be licensed and go and follow FDA rules, you know. But me as the guy growing my, you know, 6 plants at my particular property and then extracting them to make my own medicines, I don't want to be regulated by anybody, and I don't want to be told by the industry that I can't do that. So.
Nor do I.
Nor do I.
No. I think you guys have done a really good job of getting that message across. I mean, you have a CBD product that is, well, it's got CBD in it, but it's your entourage line. It's got everything else from that plant in it as well.
It's not entirely true.
Not entirely
true? No,
true?
it's not true. What we do is, what time is it? We'll do a whole show on that.
Okay.
Let's do a whole show on what we do.
What time are we getting to? What time is it?
It's an hour. We're an hour into it. It's 3:29.
Ooh, we got to end it in the next couple minutes because I have to pick up the wife at 4.
Because it's a lot longer conversation, but
well. You know, I think that what we talked about today is really good. I mean, we talked about where we want to go with the future of Veedverks and our broadcasting, how we want to bring in credible people, how we want to maintain that credibility, how we want to go out to people that can't make it into the studio to speak with us, and that'll give us the ability to reach overseas and other places as well. You know, so just I think it was a very good conversation today to get started with. Yeah. And we talked a little bit about the word marijuana and the demonization that's associated with it. And, You know, I think that's really important. And, you know, like I said, people are going to not like me for that, but I'm going to continue in my own speech to operate with the attitude that he who controls the language wins the war, because it's just true. I mean, in my master's degrees in English and language education, the toughest class I ever took was offered by a professor named T.C. Johnson. And he's really the one that taught me that whole theory, is that you control the language, you control the battle. And it's just the way that it is. So hopefully we're strong enough and convicted enough in what we believe to stand up for what is right.
What's that saying? The pen is more mightier than the sword. You know, we may be doing it this way,
right?
You know, or you know, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't do any good to go, you know, punch a CBD activist in the face, you know, because it's just, I mean, you're punching your own people, you know. So if we all work together, and you know, my friends that are on the hemp side of things will just take a look at the overall picture and the fact that the hemp side of things is 1,000 times bigger than the THC side of things, realize that as that big brother, it's your duty to protect us.
You could grow hemp that has 30% THCV in it, and it would be fine.
Right. It's the THCA that they measure. So, yeah. It's
interesting world.
Well, you know, and we'll learn more about this, and you know, might come out that in the end I was wrong, you know, but right now I'm not. So,
well, you're fighting for the plant.
That's what we're doing. You can't go wrong, you know, fighting for the plant and being, you know, a guardian of that plant. Yeah. So
cool. Well, we're gonna let you get out of here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Listen to Larry Reed, Man on Weed, tonight. He's going live, I believe. And
thanks everybody that's out there listening. Send us your comments. Let us know what you think about what we're talking about. Thank you guys for having me on and letting me get involved. And, you know, if we didn't say it outrightly, Bubba is now part of the Veedverks network, and I'm going to be producing a lot of shows for them.
Outstanding.
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Bubba.
Thanks,
all right.
guys.
Thanks for tuning
Peace,
in.
everybody.
Until then, wait, watch this. I'm Travis Lippert, reminding you, if you don't get hemp here, get hemp somewhere.
Love it.